anything that's theoretical that you're aware of that could be applied, like from some other planet or some other galaxy or whatever, that something that maybe we have theorized that could be responsible for the way these things are able to move?
Well, when I talk to my friends who are physicists like myself about these things, they sort of like laugh, their eyes roll up to the heavens, and they say something very simple, that a rocket using conventional means would take 70,000 years to reach us from the nearest star. Therefore, these objects cannot exist. 70,000 years for a Saturn rocket traveling at 25,000 miles per hour to go from a nearest star to the planet Earth. That's why most scientists disregard these sightings, because they defy the laws of Einstein.
But isn't that kind of like saying, like, you can't, you know how long it would take you to get a horse from Los Angeles to Sydney, Australia? Isn't that kind of like saying that?
Exactly. And that's why I say that assumes that these aliens or whatever are maybe 100 years more advanced than us. But open your mind to the possibility that they are 1,000 years more advanced than us. 1,000 years is nothing compared to the age of the universe.
Right.
The universe is about 13 billion plus years. That's how the age of the universe. And so the age of a civilization, just a few thousand years ahead of us, that is just a blink of an eye to the universe itself. And once you go to higher energies, the laws of physics begin to break down. The laws of Einstein and the laws of the quantum break down at something called the Planck energy. Why is that important? That's what I do for a living. I work on something called string theory, which lives at the Planck energy. The Planck energy is 10 to the 19 billion electron volts. That is a trillion times more powerful than our most powerful atom smasher outside Geneva, Switzerland. Any civilization that can harness the Planck energy would be able to become masters of space and time. Space and time as we know it is unstable at the Planck energy, which is far beyond anything that we can muster here on the planet Earth. So we physicists theorize, how advanced do you have to be to access the Planck energy? Well, we rank them. The Kardashev scale says that there could be type 1, type 2, or type 3 civilizations. A type 1 civilization is maybe 100 years more advanced than us, to maybe 1,000 years, sort of like Buck Rogers or Flash Gordon. They control the weather. Volcanoes, earthquakes, anything planetary, they control. That's type 1. Then there's type 2. Type 2 is stellar. They harness the power of an entire star, like Star Trek. Star Trek would be a typical type 2 civilization where they manipulate entire stars. Then there's type 3. Type 3 is galactic. They roam the galactic lanes. They play with black holes, like the Empire of the Star Wars series would be a typical type 3 civilization. Then the next question is, what type do you have to be to harness the Planck energy? The energy at which space and time become unstable, where wormholes may develop, gateways through space and time, portals through empty space. You have to be type 2 or most likely type 3. Then the next question is, how long will it take before you become type 3? Well, we are maybe 100 years away from being type 1. We're maybe a few thousand years from being type 2, and we're maybe 100,000 years from being type 3. And 100,000 years is nothing on a galactic scale. The age of the universe, as I said, over 13 billion years old. And so once a civilization reaches the Planck energy, that is a type 3 civilization, space and time become your playground.
How did they make the estimates of how long it would take to develop such technology?
Looking at the gross national product of nations, we know that most nations grow at the rate of maybe 3% per year in energy consumption. Given that number, 2 to 3% per year, we then calculate how much energy they would have in 100 years, 1,000 years. Now, we are about a civilization about 0.7. Carl Sagan did the calculation. We're not a type 1 civilization yet. We're type 0.7. But that means that by the year 2100, at the turn of the century, we'll probably be type 1. And you can see that everywhere you go. What is the Internet? The Internet is the beginning of a Type 1 communication system. We're privileged to be alive to see the first Type 1 technology fall into our era. What about sports and culture? The Olympics, the beginning of a Type 1 sports. Soccer, the beginning of a type fashion with Gucci and Chanel. The beginning of a Type 1 language. The number 1 and 2 languages on the Internet are English and Chinese. So we're seeing the beginning of a Type 1 language. So in other words, the greatest transition in human history is maybe 100 years from now when we become Type 1, a planetary civilization harnessing planetary forces. That is perhaps the greatest transition in modern history, and we're about 100 years from becoming Type 1.
So Type 1, we would be able to control weather events, and we'd be able to control planetary events.
That's right.
Like you believe that by Type 1, we'll be able to prevent supervolcano eruptions, things along those lines?
That's right. With the power of an entire planet at our disposal, and we see the beginnings of that today because that's been the biggest change in the last 100 years. 100 years ago, we existed as a fragmented civilization, nations battling each other for small turfs. Now we're beginning to see the emergence of planetary blocks, a planetary economy beginning to develop. And the Internet, as I said, is the first Type 1 telephone system to fall into this century.
When you think of technologies that could potentially change the pattern of progression, meaning that, you know, we're on this sort of exponential rate of increase in technology, what about something along the lines of what Elon Musk is proposing with Neuralink? Something that would change the way a human being's brain interfaces with information, most likely to conceive, and it's also like that's what nature wants.
Yeah.
Nature wants you to have sex when you're a fucking kid. You're 16.
It's because we will last more than 20 years. I think nature was like, get this done now, you're dead in a decade.
No, but we haven't adapted to that yet. We haven't.
Will ever catch up?
How it would take so long? It's not like people are going to stop humping.
Yeah, I mean, chemically, that would change.
You would have to almost delay puberty, but then when you would fuck up people's development,
Yeah,
like what could you do to? Because there's a window when you're growing and your hormones are kicking in, and all this stuff is kind of synced normally by nature. If you interfere with that because you think the kids can't handle having sex, like you're going to delay. What are you going to delay puberty? Like till they're smart enough?
Yeah, you have to.
Well, you're not even smart enough when you're in your 20s.
No, you're not. No one's smart enough. Fucking, it never kicks in.
What's wild about humans, right, is like there's this clear biological imperative to procreate, and it kicks in when you have no business teaching a kid life. You know, to raise a child when you're 15. And you're the husband's 15 and you're 15.
It's a nightmare.
And you just gave birth to a baby and you're a baby.
Yeah. Like that Some Pregnant Show or whatever. That always, it's like when it works, you're happy because you're like, the kid's might turn out a nice life. But when you see that goes awry, it's sad as shit because a lot of times it's bound to lose, you know? But then sometimes you wait too long and it gets harder to have kids. I've dealt with that. It's just it's wild how your body sometimes, or the body is like,
you missed the window.
Maybe you missed a window. Yeah.
Yeah. They have in vitro fertilization.
Yeah, science fixes all that shit.
Yeah. Well, they're developing the concept, at least, of artificial wombs, and they think that there will be a time where they'll be able to have babies outside of a human body,
just growing next to you in your house.
Yeah. How far away is that? Because I read something recently on this as a concept that they think that, but then like what is the baby getting from the mother in terms of like emotions and feeling, and like babies are empathic, right? They're feeling the mother's stress. Your cortisol raises when your mother's under stress.
Right.
There's probably like lessons, like you're learning things from the mother, like just from feelings,
like instinctual stuff kicks in. And
I wonder.
Well, it's got to be based on like diet and your lifestyle schedule, and the way that you operate has to influence the way that.
Can you imagine if they made babies in an artificial womb and the babies just came out like soulless? And what do you do? Like
it's very stiff.
Yeah, and then the scientists say, well, actually, we've discovered the soul's real.
Yeah.
And it only comes from the mother into the baby, and it comes while the baby's inside the mother.
That's actually a great movie.
They think that actually, that was like an ancient belief that the soul entered the body at a certain time. Now I'm thinking about it, I think it was like 6 weeks. There was an ancient belief that there was a very specific time where the soul entered the body.
While you're in the womb.
Yeah, while the baby's in the womb.
So you're in there for 6 weeks cooking. At 6 weeks, that's when the soul shows up.
Is that what they think it was? What was this ancient myth, belief, whatever you? Who knows if it's real?
I feel like it'd be right the moment that
Aristotle.
there's fertilization.
Aristotle believed it.
In the time of Aristotle is actually what it says. Soul entered the embryo at 40 days for a male and 90 days for a female.
Beat you there, girls.
Wonder why I waited.
Why they chill?
Ensoulment.
They're fucking late. They gotta do something.
What's it called?
Ensoulment.
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 And so that was just their belief. It wasn't. Was it based on any thought?
This is
they had?
Hippocrates was the first to believe this.
Well, he's always contradicting himself.
Believed
Was
the
he?
embryo was a product of
Fucking
male and
Hypocrisy is Why are we? I wonder. Why do you speculate 40 and they're 90? Why
Well,
would?
back
Why would
then
that be?
they probably didn't like girls.
Right. That's why. These
Yeah.
bitches are slow. They don't
Yeah.
even get their souls when we get our
Give
souls.
me another taste of the good stuff.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah.
These bitches are slow.
I mean, they probably. Yeah, they probably. Was
I bet you
listening.
scientists, they probably get it before we do, if anything.
artificial womb thing I found. 2019, there's an article that said they think they're 10 years away, but I dug through that to find the person that was claiming it, and it turns out it's just like an artist.
Oh.
So like, it's not like it wasn't a group scientist saying, it was like an artist that says like, we might be
Hey, man,
there.
art scientist.
That would scare the shit out of me if they were just making people in a lab. Oof.
You don't think they're doing that already?
But yeah, there's vision.
I feel it got to be manipulating.
I bet in another country they're doing it.
I think we got our hands in there, baby.
Do you think so?
I think for sure.
You think like in Area 51 they're out there making people?
Well, don't. It was so funny that for how many years, when you were a kid, for how many years did you hear about, that alien life forms at Area 51? That's all bullshit. That's not what it. And then now they're like, no, there's some alien shit over there.
They don't.
Yeah, they do.
No, they don't.
They say there's something unidentified. They found things that they don't know really what it is, that they've experimented on, for sure.
I get exactly what they've said.
What do they
talk to a lot of these guys? What the government is admitting is that they believe that there are crafts that are operating that are outside of their understanding of physics.
They've never said that we have anything.
There have been people that have said, and this is a quote from the Pentagon, that there was off-world vehicles not from this earth.
Mm-hmm.
But who said that quote is what I was always confused about. It was like one of the top Pentagon official. It's like one of those things where it's like, wait a minute, who said that?
Yeah.
And what is the exact quote? How did you exactly say it? How much of this is clickbait? But I've talked to multiple pilots that have had encounters.
I got to know we got something.
And I don't know if it's ours, if it's a drone that we don't tell them about that moves in a way that defies our understanding of physics because it doesn't operate on a propulsion engine. It operates on something that's completely new and unique. And there have been thoughts about how a new and unique gravity-based propulsion system would work for decades. Astrophysicist Eric W. Davis, who spent years working as a consultant for the Pentagon UFO program and is now a defense contractor, gave a classified briefing to the Defense Department on what he called off-world vehicles not made on this Earth. In other words, spaceships. The bombshell quote came in the latest UFO report from the New York Times, which has owned the beat for the past several years. In December 2017, the paper reported on the existence of the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, a Pentagon effort to investigate UFOs that was supposedly shuttered in 2012, but wasn't. The article, hailed as a historical inflection point in our attitudes regarding UFOs, implied the same message that the most recent one does. Basically, flying saucers are real.
Can I see a picture of Eric W. Davis?
Pussy Eric's
I want to see that. I want to see his. I want to see how much I believe him based on his look.
Yes, let's just go.
Let's see what he
just
looks
for his
like,
look.
just so I can see what he looks like.
Is that him?
No, that's here in Austin. Warp Drive Metrics, consulting for the Department of Defense. That's it. Just go
That's
back
him.
and go to images,
Him?
Jamie. Click on images so we can pick one for fun. Like so we can make a. Oh, that's him, dude. That is him. Wow. There's your dog.
Off-world technology.
Okay, so based on that first picture in the Hawaiian shirt,
Yeah.
do we believe it?
A little skeptical.
I'm skeptical. This dude, I don't know, dude. That Tommy Bahama's leading me down a weird line.
But if you were the Pentagon, you wanted to hire a guy.
That's the guy.
That's the guy.
That is the guy.
Because you don't want any distractions. You want a guy who's 100% invested. So he was back then too? What year? Is that
That's just
Jacques Vallée?
It's like a white power.
Huntsville, Alabama?
Yeah, looks like it's him.
What is that Jacques Vallée with him?
It's LinkedIn, so yeah.
Interesting.
What's crazy about what I just said about saying that too?
What?
In that photo, I was just joking around saying, like, it looks like he's throwing up like power symbol. This guy, like a Nazi salute.
Right.
You know what's insane?
What?
Huntsville. That's where the cake was started.
Jesus.
Literally.
Is that Jacques with him? I think he's too old in that image.
I played that gig in Huntsville. Joe, we took a ride from Nashville down to Huntsville, and the driver was a really cool dude, really nice. And I was playing the Huntsville, whatever's down there. I don't know what down there in Alabama, but you do like a one show after Nashville, and we're driving, and he's like, you know, NASA's right here, and I was like, oh really? He's like, it's right there, dude. He's like, you won't see it? Yeah, if we have time, for sure. Drives by, seeing the outside of it. You know, they have fucking like rockets outside. It's dope as shit. And I was like, whoa, this is so cool. He's like, yeah, man, a lot of fucking nerds is going to be at your show from there, I'm sure. And I was like, yeah, but hopefully. And he goes, yeah, it's a cool little thing that they plopped it right down here by us. Down that road, KKK got started. I was like, oh, what a juxtaposition of that to that. He's like, yeah, you know, I'm not proud of it, but that's where. And I was like, so right there is NASA, like the most brilliant minds on Earth, like a mile away from the most chaotically stupid people on planet Earth. I was like, that's so, like, that's like, it's like universal, like comedy given to the Earth, where it's like NASA, complete insane shitheads a mile away from each other, where it was birthed. Yeah, where it was birthed. And I asked him if it was still over there, and he's like, I don't know, but I don't know. And I was like, okay, so. Yeah, they're there.
If you were working on a base and they brought in some shit. Imagine if you're one of the guys someone's got to move those things around. They're not having the eggheads move them around.
No.
They're going to have guys like you and me.
Yeah.
If you and me were working on some fucking Air Force base, top secret clearance,
we'd be
we know how to shut the fuck up because all of our phones are bugged.
Right.
You know, like they bug everything. They
For
bug
sure.
your house. You make sure you're not talking any shit. You're not saying nothing. You wheel in this burnt up UFO. They're like, what is this? And they're like, shut the fuck up.
Nothing.
Get out of here.
Oh, they don't let anybody shit.
Well, someone has to move it in.
No, those guys do, but they tell your boss to get the fuck out of the building.
Right, but if you're one of those guys, move it in.
Oh, those guys.
Somebody has to move it in. They're not going to get the eggheads to move the thing.
They're talking about the eggheads. Like, what do they do?
No, if you have an enormous fucking spaceship.
Yes.
And you're a guy like you and I were maintenance in Area 51.
We definitely.
Maintenance, dude. 100%.
I'm crying something. And you're like, come on, brother, you got to help me move this fucking thing out this van.
We got this thing, and we get it. It's got like a low hum to it.
Just putting out a cigarette next to it, like, I don't know if it's be near it.
Down there, it's covered in fucking soot and dirt and shit.
Yeah.
And you're like, what the fuck is this?
It's drip.
It crashed in the North Pole.
Yeah, it's drip. I don't know, it's leaking. Something's leaking out of it.
Bro.
Like it's oil or some shit.
Bro.
Are you tasting it?
Yeah. You wouldn't taste it?
Change your life if you saw a spaceship from another planet. Like, for sure, from another planet.
The problem is, this is the never-ending argument. Who's going to believe you? Because then you automatically become like I'm dead serious. And everybody's like, so you'd have to be, no, there is no way. It's like a never-ending, who's going to believe you? Because even people that really love your wife, like someone that's like, that knows you the best would be like, babe, is everything okay?
Yeah,
you're like, no, I'm
serious.
serious.
You're cracking.
They're like, you're losing it.
They would tell their friends.
I don't know what's been going on.
Andrew changed his medications and now he's seeing things. He's seeing things. Yeah.
That was, I don't know why this shot into my brain, but there was a great documentary about a retirement community in Florida. And at this point in his life, the dude decided to start experimenting with, because he's like, fuck it, dude. I'm old.
He's 80.
Yeah, and he was
Let's
like,
go.
I don't give a shit. And the poor wife would be like, there's a scene where she's like, well, now what do you, they're both like sweet from the South. And she's like, what are you going to do? And he opens the door and he's out of his mind. He goes, don't come in here. I'm going to be jerking off. He closes the door on her. And you can tell she looks at the, what is this? Yeah, that's exactly what it's called. Some kind of heaven. Bro, that's the guy. Brother, it's so fucking, this is such a great, beautiful docuseries about what it's like to live in one of these retirement. That's him. He's punching himself, dude.
Oh my God, and with a kung fu outfit on. That guy looks like a p.
Dude, he's awesome.
Where is he?
This is all in Florida at this resort.
They all doing karate together and working out. That looks like fun.
So high-end resort, you pay this huge fee to get in, right? And then there's monthly fees. And then it's
stuff.
Everything's included, though, but it's very promotional of active elderly. So they're like, this isn't like a come in, hospice. It's like, are you young enough to want to still go out and go drink and party and go play? And they all go there to party. And this dude he found cocaine, by the way, which is... Yeah, dude. He's driving a golf cart. He's just ripped out of his head.
Here's another documentary about it called Golf, Booze, and Guns Inside the Boomer Paradise.
It's awesome, dude.
That looks like fun.
But
That's where I'd want to go.
The
Look, when we
Villages.
get old as fuck, dude, we should start our own.
100%.
Let's do it.
I would love that.
All old comics. I'm
Old- Yes.
It's kind of what we're doing here.
Yeah, this is kind of it. This is my environment.
We got a lot of young guys here too, though.
Dude, these do. This is the
We
scene.
got a lot coming
The
up.
scene out here is moving heavy. I'm not trying to spread rumors, but old Joey DeRosa is going to be here this week, and he told me he wants to fucking move here. I don't know if he's gonna, but
Love it.
I
I'll
love
tell him
Joe.
I'll have a sandwich shop with him.
Dude, I think
Let's go, Joe.
I said, "Are you really going?" I texted him this morning, and he's like, "Where are you?" I said, "I'm in Austin." He's like, "I'll be there in 3 days." I was like, "I'm out of here. I'm sorry, man." And he genuinely, I think he genuinely has this. I would bug him about it.
I don't eat sandwiches, but I would eat one of his sandwiches.
No, they're great.
If I wanted to take like a cheap meal and feel like shit for 12 hours,
That's the one.
his fucking sandwiches look incredible.
Yeah, dude, it's so good. The problem is it's a bar too, so old spotty liver over here. I have to have a couple every time I go.
Sandwiches. Oh my God.
They're delicious.
What is that one?
Peanut butter and jelly.
Peanut butter
Oh
and jelly.
my God. Incredible.
With with Ruffles, original.
Oh my God. He's an animal. There's no health involved in his food.
Oh, dude. No.
His food is all about mouth pleasure.
Yeah.
It looks fantastic, though. His subs look insane.
It's
What's it called again? Joey Rose's?
Yeah. I was just
I hear
there.
nothing but great things.
Over there with
I hear
him,
they're
and then
huge sandwiches too.
They are, and it's a great little spot. And I think it's in the lower East Village.
I
maybe?
love when a comic does something off the wall like that.
Yeah, man, trying shit is nice.
Yeah,
It's like
they had erased his educational record.
Well, I think he might have people. I don't know if I think this. 'Cause I don't know. I never researched it, but people that I know that have researched it think he might have kind of upgraded his resume
Yeah.
a little bit, and maybe he didn't go to MIT.
Right. That was the claim. But they also said that he really worked for, what's that lab in New Mexico?
Well, Lawrence Livermore and JL.
JPL.
Yeah, JPL's
That
in
he had-
Pasadena. Yeah,
But whatever it was in New Mexico, that they had found that he actually did work in the building, even though they tried to say that he didn't.
oh yeah,
So
maybe
that he
yeah.
did something with somebody, and however much of his story was true, always gets fishy when you find one thing that's not true, like that he didn't go to MIT. So
Totally.
Stanton Friedman.
Yeah.
You know Stanton
Yeah.
Friedman? Yeah. Stanton Friedman, who's a very famous UFO researcher. He's one of the main guys arguing that Bob Lazar's full of shit.
Yeah, you know what's interesting is there is a I know the guy that did all the research on that, and I know the guy that studied it for decades, and he's actually writing a foreword on the book. It's the journalist has won like 8 Peabody Awards and Emmys and shit. But George Knapp, who I told you about, and he's just got like he can speak for hours on that entire
He's always
thing.
on the Coast to Coast show, right?
Yeah, he does
Doesn't
like a couple Sundays each month. Yeah.
Did you follow him? Oh, yeah. What is it? Element 115? Is that what it's called?
Popular Mechanics article about it right here. On
Welcome, Element 115. Now, what's your real name? Researcher ate Element 115 in the lab for the second time overall in the first time in a decade, paving the way for its official status as a member of the periodic table. And so, Google Bob Lazar, Element 115.
Yeah.
I think that if he knew that long ago, like that alone would make people want to take him more seriously.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
the stuff that he said. Well, first of all, we know that there is a Groom Lake. We know that there is an Area 51. We know they denied its existence until they wanted to expand the perimeter. Till They wanted to, because people would sit on a ledge and they would watch all these test flights of whatever the fuck they had, whatever it was they were doing, whether working on stealth bombers, whatever it was. People would film this, and so they wanted to expand the perimeter of prohibited area, and so in doing so, they had to admit the existence of the base itself. I believe that was in the 90s, right?
It was in the 90s. They expanded the perimeter. Something else that the government had to do is they had to admit UFOs were real because there was some military people. Look at it.
Yeah,
he talks about 150 all through this.
And
this episode.
What year is this, Jamie? Does it say on the bottom? What is it? When is it? Was this put out? This video?
Well, this one here is 2015, but the video was taken on VHS.
Old as fuck.
This is like 1990, maybe.
It's on the Sci-Fi Channel. Doo. Spelled sci-fi.
Yeah, everyone uses a lot of the
SYFY.
Yeah,
So that's old as fuck. Say some of that though, because that dude's a trip. Because he's one of those weird guys where even if you're a skeptical guy, you listen to Bob Lazar talking, you're like, this guy's obviously smart as fuck. Here we go.
Is in the top of the reactor, and the base of the reactor apparently is a small, something similar to a cyclotron. It's a particle accelerator. A particle is accelerated to high speed and then deflected up a small tube, and it's aimed at the 115. This transmutes the 115, similar to the way we do that in a normal accelerator. This causes a reaction, a radiation emission that we really haven't seen before. It produces antimatter. This antimatter is guided down a tuned tube and reacts with a gas. When antimatter reacts, they convert to 100% energy. This energy is converted, heat energy, is converted to electrical power in the reactor itself. This is done through a thermoelectric converter. And this electrical power is used to power other subsystems on the craft, though there is no wiring, as we would know it. Also, that's almost a byproduct of the reactor. The reactor also sets up a gravitational wave from the 115 being bombarded. This gravitational wave is present at the top of the reactor and is essentially guided in the same way microwaves are guided. And this goes to their amplifying cavities and the projectors that are in the bottom of the craft.
Wish I was smart enough to know whether or not he's full of shit.
Well, so what he's saying is that there's a gravity wave that's accessible on a really large element that extends beyond the perimeter of the atom. And when you bombard that element with one particle, kind of like what we were talking about before, it goes through a tuned tube, like a very tiny miniature CERN. CERN's like a big magnet, holds a particle in a very specific spot. It hovers. It shoots and it hits that. It decays. It becomes this matter-antimatter reaction. These generators can convert all that energy into power, and then they can amplify that wave that's coming off and emanating from that element. And they amplify it like you would amplify a radio wave. Now, there's no wires in the craft because most likely it was 3D printed. We didn't know about 3D printing back then. I've talked to Bob about this, but not just 3D printing, just the materials, but atomically aligning the elements so consciousness and other types of things can move through those materials to operate the craft. It's really tricky.
They're operating it without buttons.
Right.
They're operating it. It's like one of the things that he said, theoretically, right? Was that there was handprints and that, they were much different shaped hands than ours.
Yeah.
And this craft that he had found inside one of these bays in Area 51, he realized very quickly that it wasn't something that we had created and that it was somehow or another powered through intention that would go through like touch or feel or put their hands would be on this thing, and consciously you would somehow or another control all the various aspects of this machine.
Exactly.
Boy, it sounds good, doesn't it? God, I want to believe. So hard.
Well, I hope you do, because there's gonna be a lot of stuff.
I know what you've seen though. So you've seen this piece of metal. What else have you seen?
I've seen many documents on the studies of these things, and I've seen a lot of the science associated with what the technology is and what it does. Like I could show you if I fold up pieces of paper and stuff what's going on with it, but basically. These craft, they travel in a straight line, but they're folding space time.
Like in Event Horizon, where they explain it by folding a piece of paper and punching a pencil through it. Did you ever see that movie?
Yeah, kind of
Great
like
fucking
that
movie.
But it's more like, here I can draw it for you here. Not that this is it's kind of like when you have 2 points. We're used to traveling in a direction like that, and so when we look up, we see a plane that goes straight.
Right.
But these UFOs fold space-time like this, and so it looks like to them they're going in a straight line. So if you're in the ship, you see that. But if you're on the ground, you see that.
Okay.
That's why you see them blink off and on. A lot of those videos, they're on. It looks like they're jumping. It's just because of this.
So
they're
they
folding
have
space-time.
a way of interfacing with space itself that's very different than our idea of traveling in a linear way from point A to point B.
The fabric, they call it the fabric of space-time because it's like a fabric. It's malleable.
Now, let me ask you this. How often in conversation do people look at you and think you are fucking crazy when you start talking about this? And how long
all
does
the time, yeah.
All the time, right? But do you ever get to the point where you're like, I don't want to talk about this?
No, because I always tell people you don't know what I know. And there's a lot.
No, I mean, like, do you ever get to the point where I can't do this anymore?
No.
Like, people think I'm fucking crazy.
No, because I'm involved on the most important shit I've ever been in my life.
So you think this is like the most important thing you've ever done in your life?
Oh, fuck yeah. Like, I have meetings with senators coming up. Like,
do you?
Oh, fuck yeah,
What's
I do.
that?
I can't tell you.
Damn, it's all this can't tell you stuff.
I know, because
So
this is fucking tricky shit.
When it's going to come out? Like, it seems like eminent rather disclosure type shit.
To what my company does, that's what I'll say.
So what company? What are you trying to do?
Well, so if you look at the people involved, we have senior. When you get to the senior levels of government, you're either called an SES or SIS, Senior Intelligence Service, Senior Executive Service, or you're a brass. But either way, the civilians have the same kind of ranking charter that the brass does. So a SES 3, SAS 3 would be the same thing as a 3-star general. So that's who these people are around me. So I had the head of the Skunk Works Engineering. I got, a SIS 2-star from the Clandestine Directorate of Operations. I have a guy, Undersecretary of Intelligence for the Senate Intelligence Committee, and was
These guys are
quasi-retired.
Quasi-retired.
They all
left
our current
public life and now are involved with what you're doing.
They are current consultants to the internet, the intelligence community.
Okay.
That's probably the most.
And involves project with clearance?
They all have their top secret TSSCI clearances, yeah. I'm the only one that does it. On my entire team, I'm the only one that does it. Actually, Lou, that just came out, I hired him away. So he was head of all, he was in charge of all classified operations for Secretary of Defense Mattis. So he was called a GS-15 right underneath the 1, 2, and 3 stars. He ran the Advanced Aerial Threat Program, and it's still continuing to this day. And he's with us now.
So the Advanced Threat Program under the United States government is essentially a UFO.
When I regained consciousness, it wasn't real quick. It wasn't real walking right up. It was real slow. It was dim. My consciousness was kind of like in and out for a while. I didn't know where I was. The pain and the feeling that I was mortally wounded. Something was so wrong inside. I felt like I was dying. And this is what really fueled the panic when I finally laid eyes on these creatures. Of course, all of the mental programming that we get from Hollywood that aliens are invading monsters, didn't help. But I instantly associated this feeling of dying with pain with them. So I was combative immediately.
Where were you?
I was lying on back on a raised table. There was a light above me. It was not real bright. It was not so bright that I couldn't see the outline of the fixture, but
what did the fixture look like?
Kind of like that, only much larger. Just a soft glow, and in the movie, there's a little bit of striking on the part of the aliens against me. That didn't happen. I lashed out at them. The one closest to me, I felt really weak. I didn't have enough strength to do much. So when my arm contacted him, he just fell back very unexpectedly easy into the other one. And I rolled off the table in the other direction. And they came around the table, and the three of them were coming towards me. And I just grabbed something from behind me, an object off of the shelf there, and started swinging it at them.
What was the object?
It was just some large, long cylinder or rod, glass, some clear material. I wasn't studying it. I was looking at them and swinging wildly, screaming threats. They stopped. And I was planning on attacking more fully, just making way past them. The only doorway I could see was on the other side of them.
And it looked like a doorway?
Yeah, it looked like a door. Just, I guess it's a pretty typical description nowadays. Very large eyes, hairless, two eyes, nose, mouth. I didn't see them speak or no change in the expressions. And to me, that in the face of all the screaming and the fear that I was projecting, their lack of reaction probably just added to my panic. But
Did they feel like they were a living creature, or did they feel like they were a robot?
well, without expression, I'll say that. But, I've had 45 years to think about that. In more recent years, I think, well, maybe if they're telepathic and it's developed enough to where they don't need to talk, they also don't need facial expression.
Right.
And so their ability to communicate with each other would be much richer and more complete than we have. And speech and frowns or smiles or whatever would become obsolete pretty quick.
Yeah. Well, there's a theory about where human beings are headed. If we continue to evolve, that we will one day reach this point where the biological limitations of our monkey bodies will slowly start to fade away, and we'll have different abilities to
well,
communicate.
why would we frown or smile if you can save much more?
And so their musculature, did they look like smooth, like they had no clear muscles?
They were pretty smooth, very light. When I hit the one, it fell back into the other one pretty easily.
The TikTok craft or Tic Tac craft. Goddamn.
TikTok.
Can't get away from that word. The Tic Tac craft that was spotted off San Diego. It performed something spectacular in terms of its ability to go from the surface of the water to 60,000 feet in how long?
So less than a second, but there's actually more to it. There was a craft. Remember, I was talking with Commander Fravor before this was public.
Yeah.
There was a craft under the water too. The Tic Tac would drop from 60,000 feet is what they're saying, 60 to 80. But that's the scan volume of the Spy 1 radar. So everybody I've talked with said they were coming from above. They were coming from outer space, dropping down within a second and stopping on a dime and then making the movements Commander Fravor saw, like inside of a glass. Then he said to me in our first talk ever, I'll never forget this, because I'm talking to a fighter pilot and I got to talk fighter pilot, and I don't. And he says to me, "It noticed me." And I go, "What do you mean it noticed you?" And he says, "As I was descending rapidly to engage it, it turned its nose and began to intelligently mirror my movements, came right up by me, and he says, faster than you can see, you can't even see a bullet leave a gun. No, it just, bam, shot off." He goes, "We don't have anything like that. I wish we did. We don't. Whatever propels that is not a reactionary propulsion system."
Meaning it's pushing something off the back to get it to forward,
like everything
like
else,
fire and explosions.
It's a field propulsion. Yeah, like anything else we
Yeah.
know, you got to have something going back to go forward. Rockets, we're still using the same ones from back in the
Right.
day. This thing instantaneously, without effects of inertia, can move. Now, and that distortion, that's exactly how Bob described these things would work or do work in his opinion. So Commander Fravor got to see it. Now, and these incursions, by the way, look, there's stuff George reports on. There's a lot he doesn't. As a filmmaker myself, people tell me stories all the time. These incursions, it's not a rarity. These are happening to this day. I just heard about one in Guam. Incursions over high security airspace over our weapons systems. And in Guam, there was just recently an incursion. The Pantex facility with the igloos where we hold our nuclear weapons and stuff like that, there are incursions over these. So to George's point, the reason why maybe all of this is secret is not because we can't handle it, people flip out. Maybe we just want to make sure we fucking get this tech first because it's a game changer.
Now, let's talk about the people that have tried to debunk this, why they're off. Because they've made some debunking claims about some of these videos and about the technology that was used to track these things. That's incorrect. Where they don't really understand what they're debunking.
Right.
So please explain that, because that's one of the things that people are immediately going to go to. They're going to go, well, Mick West has already debunked it. And I've read the stuff that he says. It's mental gymnastics to try to explain it the way he's explaining it without recognition of the fact that these things were actively blocking radar. These things were actively blocking tracking systems. These were physical crafts. This is not like a bird.
No.
Or so,
It's
like a lot of the
impossible.
wacky theories that he has are like, I wonder, it's real weird, like that a smart man can make such really bizarre conclusions. Very weird. Almost like someone wants him to do those.
Sure. I mean, it's so exciting that we're seeing something and the government's saying, okay, these are UFOs. We have not identified them. They have propulsion techniques that we don't have. And we're just talking about the videos.
Let's talk about the debunking.
Okay.
Talk about the debunking and what his claims are in the debunking.
Okay, so one that I really attacked because it was so ridiculous is he was saying that the Go Fast video, which is this, object that goes along in a straight line, one of the 3 videos that was released. He said what was probably a bird. That was his first theory.
Let's pull up the Go Fast video.
Yeah. I mean, I recently went deep into talking with Boeing experts who work on these FLIR pods. They're telling me how they work, what they can capture, why.
Explain what a FLIR pod is.
A forward-looking infrared. So basically on fighter planes, you have a camera.
So here's the video. We're pulling it up right here.
Sure, that's mounted. And it's essentially recording in thermal imagery. These things are, this is not Instagram. These things, weapons systems that are highly trained to be able to accurately represent spatial awareness and to be able to target, enemy combatants. This is not an iPhone, an Instagram. These are weapons for us. So out of the 3 videos, if we just look at this one, although I like the Tic Tac one with Commander Fravor and I like the gimbal one, those are awesome. This one gives us very little information. But the idea that this would be a bird, if you talk to anybody that uses these pods, you can't pinpoint on a bird. You can't lock a weapon system on a frickin' bird.
Well, look how fast it's going too.
Well, here's what's so interesting is everybody can debate speed.
So this is where it's locked in on it.
Right.
So the weapon system is locked in on this thing and it's tracking it now.
Right. And they got real excited when they locked it because they said boxed a moving target, right? So here's the deal though. Out of anything I could say about this video, because there's not a lot of information in there, what I can say is that object you're seeing is colder than the surface of the ocean. Now, I looked up the surface of the ocean temperature at that location at that time because we had the information. It was like 65 degrees. What propulsion system? So a bird. A bird is about 100 and let's say 5 degrees, like a seagull. Seagulls can go maybe 15 miles an hour. I don't know how fast they can go. But they wouldn't be colder than the ocean. They'd be hypothermic and dead. It cannot be a bird because what we're seeing is a colder object than the surface of the water. That's why you're seeing it white.
And how fast going?
That's there's different
interpretations.
Yeah, so I'll give you one interpretation about, 240 miles an hour, some people say. And then they can argue, well, the fastest bird in a nosedive could go that fast. So back up. We have an object that is colder than the surface of the ocean. That immediately gets rid of the bird theory, because a bird would be hypothermic and drop like a paperweight into the water. It cannot fly at that. So that's the piece of information I would attack that debunking with.
But this video, when you're watching that, if it is going 200 miles an hour, that's not outside of what's possible with spacecraft or aircraft or just planes.
Right, but
right?
but it's cold.
I understand that.
That's pretty cool.
But it's very interesting. But it's not moving anywhere near as fast as the Tic Tac.
No. This is just because this is part, and George can tell you, this was part of a much bigger series of events. So like the gimbal craft itself, that's another debunking thing. They said it's a plane banking away and you're seeing it through thermal. First of all, talk with the pilot. Not fucking so.
This is the gimbal.
Gimbal.
He's pulling it up right now.
And
how fast is this thing supposed to be going?
The speed, from what I recall, wasn't registered on the radar. It's not that it's going fast. If you talk with the pilots, it was rotating. It was spinning like a top, and for like 11 hours without refueling. I mean, the thing was just sitting out there. This is an occurrence that happened over a course of many, many weeks. Now, when it rotates like that, the debunking theory is that you're seeing a plane bank. So as if our military doesn't know what another plane is. Other planes look very different when you see them through thermal. This thing was self-rotating, and I just did an interview.
And how fast is this, or rather, how warm is this thing supposed to be? Is this supposed to actually be hot?
I am aware
because you're looking at it through thermal, right?
Yeah, I'm unaware of the specifics of that one when it comes to heat. All I know is that it is self-actuating. It is not something that is a glare or flare of a heat signature, making it look like it's turning. The actual craft is self-actuating.
And what is that halo around it?
Act of the FLIR thermal. It's not.
The premise, the U.S. government would tell you, all right, look, we're going to release these videos reluctantly. Lou Elizondo is the guy that got them released, and then the U.S. government formally released them a couple of months ago. The idea that the U.S. government would release it, the Pentagon says these are unidentified. If it was a bird or a jet engine, the pilots would not have the kind of reaction that they had that you can hear on the audio.
Yeah.
Our government does not tell members of Congress. The Pentagon doesn't go to the Senate Intelligence Committee, show them those videos and say, yeah, it's unidentified if it isn't. And, the reaction of the pilots, the fact that they were forced to release it to begin with, suggests that it really is unidentified.
Why do you think they've addressed it? Why do you think that they have addressed the fact that they're studying these things? Why not just continue denying it?
I think they were forced to. And some props to Long. I know you guys had a pretty spirited conversation when he was here, but he created
funny,
Lou Elizondo, who ran that program, came forward and brought with him those videos. I saw them 2 days after Lou Elizondo stepped on a stage with Tom and said, I was in charge of the program. He and Chris Mellon have been sort of the engineers of getting that story into the New York Times. That changed everything. As I said, the last 2.5 years, everything has turned on its head. The New York Times covers the story. The result is other media covered as well. They've been ignoring it forever, and that allowed people who keep these secrets. That pressure meant that people in Congress started asking questions. 2 days after the story came out, I interviewed Senator Harry Reid, who was the one who got the money to create that program that became ATIP. And he said his phone had been ringing off the hook from other members of Congress who are now suddenly interested. I didn't know there was a program, they're telling him. How do we learn more about this? It started a series of closed-door briefings on Capitol Hill that continue to this day. The pilots, like Dave Fravor, were hauled before Congress, first in front of the staff of the Senate Intelligence and then Senate Armed Services, and then the elected members, these senators who get briefed on it, and they were impressed, and they wanted more pilots to come in. So it's been going on for 2.5 years, and 2 weeks ago, about a month ago now, the culmination of it, Senator Marco Rubio, who is now the chairman of the Senate Intelligence Committee, drops this bill, and it's the budget for the intelligence budget for the next year, and he includes a UFO provision in there. Congress wants to have a mechanism set up where we get regular briefings from the Pentagon on UFOs. That's an astonishing change of events. It's because of the media pressure and then congressional interest. It made it more acceptable for everybody to pursue the subject matter. It's kind of out of the shadows. And the Pentagon has reacted in fits and starts. So sometimes, as they said to the New York Times, that program ended. Had nothing to do with UFOs. At first they said it did, then they said it didn't. They've admitted Lou Elizondo worked on the program, then they said he didn't. They've said that the OSAP, which is the other program, the mother program that became ATEP, that had nothing to do with UFOs, but it did. So they continue to sort of lie and obfuscate and muddy the waters. But the fact is that there's too much momentum from media and Congress and the public to hide this anymore.